Hello students, welcome to Marketing 3 and Lesson 10, Chapter 4 of the prescribed textbook. I hope you are going to enjoy this new chapter of the week as you go through the Human Rights Day, enjoying the public holiday. I've pre-recorded this lesson for you so that if you may have time during the week, you go through the impact of culture and subcultures on consumer behavior and ultimately marketing strategy. So slides are already there on campus and they've been placed by Bimbai, and they are similar slides. I'll just use these slides for more emphasis, but you can always visit the slides that are on core campus, since it is the same concepts that are being discussed and explained there. So, and I also hope, other than the textbook that you guys are using, you also need to go and have a look at other sources that talks about culture. So just to recap, in lesson 7, 8, and lesson 9, we looked at market characteristics and we look at factors influencing consumer behavior. So we looked at green marketing, looked at cause-related marketing. We unpacked marketing to many segments of consumers, such as gay, lesbian, gender. We spoke about all these. How do you market to women? The specific roles that a wife can have, traditional wife roles, and so on. We also spoke about black diamonds, which is an emerging trend amongst the youth. So the lesson outcomes for this session, we are going to have some introduction to culture. We just need to know the keywords and the key concepts within culture. So you need to understand what are customs, you need to understand what are values, you need to understand what are beliefs, as these have got an implications of how consumers behave, how they engage with brands, and the decision-making processes that they go through. We are also going to look at needs and culture. Remember, we spoke about needs and wants. So now we are going to look at the needs related to culture. We are going to have a look at learning, and we are going to look at the components of learning on culture. Then as an aspect of culture, we are going to look at language. We are going to look at symbols and rituals. So these have got an implication on consumer behavior and marketing strategy. It is very crucial to look at culture, especially in South Africa, where there are so many different ethnic groups, especially in South Africa, where there are so many languages with 11 official languages. So how can you consider language? How can you consider symbols and rituals as aspects that have got an influence on consumer behavior and ultimately marketing strategy? So these are the key terms that you are going to come across during this lesson. You're going to come across, of course, a term of culture, values, subcultures, customs, and beliefs. And remember, value is a term with so many connotations. In chapter 2, we spoke about market value. And now we are talking about value as a component of culture. So please do not be confused with the value that we spoke about in week 2, how you measure value, the market value, the share value, and so on, and the value, this one that relates to beliefs. So this is an exercise that I would have loved to engage with students on during the class session, But because tomorrow it's a public holiday, I'd like to leave you guys with these questions that you need to have some knowledge on. You need to inquire. You need to have some self-introspection to ask yourself, what exactly is culture? Because we come across this world on our daily basis, but do we know what culture is exactly? So we need also to ask ourselves as students, does culture play any role when making buying decisions? Think about yourselves, think about your friends, think about your families. Whenever they are making any buying decision, whenever you are making any buying decision, be it your clothing, be it the food that you eat, be it how you travel, does culture play any role there? You also need to know the link between culture and marketing. So why are we talking about culture in this subject of marketing? What are the implications of culture on marketing? What are the implications of culture on consumer behavior? So these are things that you guys need to come across. But there's a video that I'm going to play for you guys so that you can have a good idea about what culture is. I know we all know culture, but it's just that sometimes it's difficult to define and describe or explain something that we come across on a daily basis. For example, if I say define a girl, most of you would struggle to define a girl other than telling me what girl wears. You'll be like, a girl is someone who wears a dress. So let's go through what culture is. Please bear with me, guys. I don't know why the video is freezing. Okay, let's go through the video about culture. I don't know what happened there, but this is the actual video of culture. So that's what culture is all about. And within cultures, there are so many expectations. Expectations from children, expectations from elders, expectations from different genders, like how a specific gender must behave when you are with people. And we have been taught this by our elders, by our mothers, on what we are expected to do, depending, of course, with many cultures. So we'll look at this one. That's titled, She's the Man, Chew Like You Have a Secret. So this is what has always been told to girls when they're in secret, when they're in public, they must chew as if they've got a secret. Let's go through the video. So I don't know if you got the sense of that video, and I don't know how you guys chew, especially when you're in public, but these are some of the table manners that are culturally bound, and there'll be things that even your elders will tell you that this is uncultural, or this is not African, or whatever the culture is. So these are the components or aspects of culture that you guys need to understand. So the study of culture is a challenging undertaking, considering its focus on social behavior of all members of a particular society. It is important to discuss the role that culture plays in influencing consumer behavior. Given the broad and general nature of culture, each study generally requires a detailed scrutiny of societal elements such as values, feelings, attitudes, perceptions, languages, laws, religion, policy, politics, customs, and so on. So from a consumer behavior perspective, culture is often defined as the sum of total learned beliefs, customs, and values that serve to reflect the consumer behavior of members of a particular society. So then what are customs, beliefs, and values? Customs can be defined as a culturally accepted covert ways of behaving in specific situations. Beliefs and values in contracts are guides of behavior. Beliefs can be defined as mental states consisting of thoughts or expressed statements reflecting a person's particular knowledge and assessment of something. So some people have asked me, what then are the difference between norms and traditions and cultures? It's quite tricky, and I want you guys to tell me when we meet next week. So this is your homework. Tell me what norms are, and tell me what are traditions. Why do you say you have got a traditional wedding, for example? And tell me what are customs and what are the differences. So marketers always try to keep abreast of the changes in the opinions, beliefs, and values of communities. Then, the link between needs and culture. These physiological, personal, and societal needs of society are generally influenced by cultural values, providing order, direction, and guidance in consumer decision-making. So to realize when it comes to meals in many African cultures, at first rice was determined to be something that you can only have on Christmas Day or during New Year, on the first day of the year. even if you can afford rice throughout the year. But there was a cultural component of rice being something that can be served during special days like Christmas. Then with sudden, rice is becoming something that can only be served on Sundays after church. You have families having those 7 colors and so on. So this becomes a culture because it happens over and over the time, specific times of frequency of Sundays, and it can also be adopted, by other families, or even if you leave your family to start another family, you can adopt this culture of having rices on a Sunday. Then culture has to do with learning as well, because we do not just born within a culture, we learn and we adapt. So individuals acquire a basic set of beliefs, values, and customs at an early age. There are 3 distinct forms of learning. So you'd acquire these basic sets of beliefs through formal learning, whereby you are taken to initiative. So formal learning is not only attending classes. People are also taken to initiations within their cultures. For example, most South African ethnic tribes do take their young boys to circumcision initiations, to be trained how to be a man. It can also be informal learning, something that you acquire and observe as you grow. And it can also be informal in technical learning. So marketing efforts and advertising in particular have a marked influence on all 3 forms of learning. And in psychology, there are so many things that we're going to talk about, guys, how you would initiate successful learning, such as conditioned learning. So here's a video about learning to speak English. And you'll see in this video that if communication is not received as intended, it can always result in dire consequences. So as a joke as it may be, on the other end, there's an alert that a ship is sinking. But because of cultures, some cultures, the way they pronounce "thi" for thinking, it can sound as if it's sinking. So that's why you hear this person in a control room. On the other hand, they are saying that we are sinking. And he said, what are you thinking about? So this has to do with how we understand and learn cultures. Then language, symbols, and rituals and their implications on marketing. So a prerequisite for membership of a particular society is communication by means of language. A symbol can be understood as an object of representing or standing for something else. We have seen, for example, the Ndebele people. You can know the difference between the Ndebele people and the Zulu people based on the symbols that they use on their attires and how they wear their clothing. Then group defines a symbol, defines a ritual as a symbolic activity involving a sequence of activities and which is repeated over time. So something that I would like to ask you guys as consumers, are there any rituals that you partake in? Rituals are important to marketers because some products and services tend to be associated with related rituals, symbols, and artifacts. Think about Easter eggs. Now Easter is around the corner. Would you think the consumption and the talk and the discussion around Easter eggs is cultural? So there's an activity for you guys that you need to have some thoughts on. So as a member of a particular cultural group, do you think culture influences the decisions that you make as a consumer? And if you think so, in what ways does culture influence your decisions? Then there's an exercise, guys, that you need to go through on page 99. So in conclusion, in this lesson, we focused on one of the factors that has a significant impact on marketing as it influences the behavior of consumers. And this factor is culture. In this exciting chapter, we discussed how culture develops and influences the activities of a group of people and in turn shape their behavior as consumers of different products. As a consumer and member of a particular cultural group, you should relate to some of these discussions and learn how marketers can react to cultural influences when coming up or when planning a marketing strategy. So this was about the introduction to culture on lesson 10. Are there any questions or comments? If so, please don't forget to bring in a discussion or a query on Core Campus Discussion Forum, or you can post all your questions within the WhatsApp group for this class so that whatever discussion that you may engage on, it can benefit others. So in the next lesson, we'll be looking at values, especially South African values. So we have looked at culture. Now we need to look at values and how they influence South African consumer behavior. Enjoy the holiday, guys. See you online on Tuesday next week, not tomorrow, on Tuesday next week. And I hope you are also working on your assignments. Thank you.